Hey, welcome to class, everyone. My name is Dominic. I'm going to be your teacher today, and I'm going to be guiding you through a little bit of upper body stretch work, as well as a little bit of breath work. Just a quick 20-minute class that's going to help to stretch out the upper half of the body, work through the spine, connect to your breath. More importantly, it's going to give you an opportunity to take a time out, to pause, to get quiet, and to get centered and grounded. So let's begin. Find a comfortable seat. You can look like me and be crisscross applesauce. You can also take a hips to heels approach and be seated here. Whatever is going to work best for you for the next few minutes. First thing I like to do with all of my classes is dial in the breath and really try to create this sense of what I call Lsd breathing, light, slow, deep breathing. And so let's start with the first component of a light breath. And really that breath is going to be very quiet, very inaudible, not something like you're panting or running, but more of like you're just softly letting the air flow. So we'll take a couple of those breaths here. So eyes open or closed, your choice. And just bring your attention to your breath. See if you can feel the breath right here on the upper lip as you exhale. And over time, I want you to slow those exhales down till you can't or barely feel that breath. Nice job. Now we're going to take it into the slow aspect. That's the cadence. Your breath can carry a tempo with it. And that tempo that I want you to taste or just to experience is going to be a slow tempo. And when I say slow, I'm usually measuring in one of two ways. That's a 5-5 count or a 4-6 count. That roughly will put you at 6 breaths a minute, which is incredibly slow. On average, we do about 12. So what that looks like is breathing in for 2, 3, 4, 5, and out 2, 3, 4, 5. Breathe in 2, 3, 4, out 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I'll show you without the counting. Go. Now you'll notice when you start to incorporate the light breathing with the count that maybe maybe you start to pick up the sound of your breath again, but that's okay. We want to continue that. And lastly, deeply, the way you can measure the depth of your breath, take your hands onto your rib cage, and I want you to inhale into your hands. Inhaling into the hands, exhaling, feeling the ribs contract. And when you put all three together, that gives you a sense of the flavor and how I want you to really look at your breath as you move through today's practice. So the first pose that we're going to take to get started is going to be tabletop. So come to your hands and your knees, stack your shoulders over your wrists, your hips over your knees, your gaze down at your mat. We're going to start with some segmented cat-cows. Now you may know your traditional cat-cows, but what I want you to do with this cat-cow is I want you to keep your gaze down towards the mat. And notice how your pelvis can move forward and back. Get a sense for that now. Keeping the breath light, keeping everything smooth and steady. Now once you kind of can feel that, I want you to let your pelvis tilt forward. And as you do, you're going to feel like your belly wants to hang low to the mat. So start to Follow that wave down. As your belly lowers, your shoulders contract, start to pull them and slide them down your back. Now, lastly, you bring your chin up and your gaze up. Hold everything here. And on your next exhale, start to curl your tailbone first. As everything rounds in, you pull your navel in towards your spine. You draw the ribs in towards the center. Press into your hands, you separate and slide the shoulders apart. Chin comes down last, gaze comes down last. That's one round. Doing 2 more here. Move from the pelvis first, go slow. Keep the breath light. Till you find yourself in position. Head's the last thing to rise. Breathe where you can. Exhale and round. The natural desire is to move the head and the hips at the same time, but I want you to get in the habit of knowing that those two are designed to move independent of one another. They don't have to go to the same place. The inhale opens you up, keep opening up, keep pulling, keep contracting, head last rise. Beautiful job, everyone. As you exhale, curl. Rounding in. And then slowly relax back to neutral. Neutral is where your pelvis naturally sits, as well as your hips. Now I want you to slowly come into this kneeling position for me. We're going to do a little bit of rotational shoulder work to help open things up in the shoulder joint here. Take your palm, turn it up towards the ceiling. Your thumb should be facing out towards your right. We're using the right hand first in case you weren't tracking. Keep a light engagement of the core, draw ribs in. So like the exhale, keep navel nice and taut. You can even fill up a little bit of air there as you bring everything in for a little bit of what we know as irradiation. I want you to take your palm, slide it over to the left side of your body like you're crossing your body here. And now in a big waving motion, arms staying completely straight, start to rotate and reach. Rotate and reach until you find a point where you can't reach anymore. Take your palm, turn it towards the ground so your thumb is now facing forward. Keep rotating as you reach behind you. If you keep doing that, it's like wringing out a dish towel until your hand comes down by your side, palm faces away from you for a half a rotation. To complete the entire round, do the same thing, come all the way out. There we go. Nice job, everyone. Beautiful. Do that one more time on the other side. I'm rotating for instructional purposes only. You stay right where you are. Palm up, across the body. Reach up, expand up. With openness, with strength and control. Continue to reach until you find your sticky point. Start to rotate. Rotate, wring out the dish towel, keep twisting, going all the way till you come down by your side. Begin to rotate out. Beautiful job, everyone. And now we are going to come into a prone position, so lie down on your belly. Extend your arms out like airplane wings. Right fingertips slide in towards the chest. We're gonna roll into our left shoulder. Stacking our right hip on top of our left, letting our head relax, using our right hand as support. Coming back to our breath. Knowing that the breath is the one thing that's always with you, regardless of anything else. When you take away the asanas, or the physical practice. How you breathe is as important to your makeup as who you are. Next, exhale, start to roll onto your belly. We're gonna repeat this on the opposite side. I have to move my mic pack so I don't roll into that, because that's about as much fun as you can imagine it would be. Slide onto your right hip, right arm extended. Left arm is now providing you with the support you need. It's in the quiet, in the silence. We find the answers that we seek. Slowly start to roll onto your belly, coming back into that prone position and sliding up onto the forearms. We're going to go into a little bit of a Sphinx pose. Let me get my technology right. I'll show you exactly what I mean. This is Sphinx pose. Tops of the feet press into the mat. If you want your heels together, that's great. As you can see, that's difficult for me, and it puts a lot of strain on my low back, so I prefer my feet to be separated. From here, I check in with where my pelvis is at, trying to find the appropriate position that keeps compression out of my low back. Maybe that's a tilt forward for you, or maybe it's a slight tuck under, but test it and see what feels right. Shoulders stack over elbows, fingertips point forward. I want you to apply downward energy so that the head and neck feels like it's separating from the body and you're driving your shoulder blades down your back. Find the level of engagement that's nice for you. I'll breathe here for a few breaths. Beautiful job. Slowly release the head and neck by bringing the gaze down. Push into your palms. Come up to tabletop. And now we're going to finish out one of our last stretches here. It's going to be a little bit of a puppy pose. So it's going to look very similar to what you were doing with cat-cow. The only difference here is your hips stay where they are in place. You're going to slide your hands forward. Bring your chest, heart, head down towards the mat while keeping the hips exactly where they are. This can be pretty intense as you press into the hands and try to pull the shoulder blades together and draw the heart down as you tilt the pelvis forward. So if all of that is too much work or too much action, let the elbows come down, let the palms come together. Simply come into this prayer position and now drive your elbows into the earth. See if that helps alleviate some of the tension. See, what I want from you is, I want tension, but I don't want too much tension. I want the right amount of tension. I want you to find the Goldilocks Paradox, right? Not too much, not too little, but I need it just right. Because if I don't get that stimulus out of your body, I don't get that change out of your body. We forget that change comes as a result of a stimulus, something external that's applied. Slowly start to bring yourself out of the posture, coming all the way back up in the tabletop. See, we want so often to receive the benefits of being great, but we don't recognize all of the strain and the stress that comes with that. Find yourself in a seated position, much like the one that I'm currently in right now. I'm going to turn to face you. Bring the heels and the feet together for Baddha Konasana, butterfly pose as it's known. Sit up nice and tall. Now, from here, think about curling your tailbone under, creating a bit of spinal flexion as you round. So your butterfly pose ends up looking more like this, like you're rounding into yourself. Stretching out through the back as you separate the shoulder blades. I use the hands to hold onto my feet just a smidge. And slowly start to release the hands and feet. Straighten the legs out, come onto your back. Take a little supine twist. Take your left leg, cross it on top of your right, and then let both knees drape over to the left. Arms can go out to your sides if you prefer. And then breath acts as a scalpel. You want your breath to work to carve out the space that you need in your body. Once we settle in the asanas or in the shapes, we create space so that we can sit with and be with our breath. Just the ultimate journey. Slowly bring the knees back to center. Switch sides, right over left. Knees drape over to the right this time. Depending on where you are in your body, let it go down as far as you can. Knowing whether or not you can still breathe while in the posture, it is always a good measure for where you are. You want to be able to find your breath. Next, inhale, slowly bring the knees back up and let the legs extend all the way out for Shavasana. Final Shavasana here ends with box breathing. And box breathing is breathing in, equal breath in, equal breath pause, equal breath out, equal breath pause. So breathe in for 1, 2, 3, 4, hold, 2, 3, 4, out, 2, 3, 4, hold, 2, 3, 4, repeat. Feel free to carry that breath with you for the remainder of your Shavasana, or release the breath and just lay here for another minute or two and relax. I want to thank you for taking the time to join me for this small, minute practice. Feel free to check out some of my other longer videos if you want more in-depth time in the postures and poses, or come back to any of these, pause, hold, repeat, till we meet again on the mat. Much love and much gratitude.